Morning, welcome to my kitchen. While I've got a little bit of time on my hands, I thought I would try and do some videos about things that I cook. One of the things I do make is my own bread. So I thought I'd show you that today because I do get asked quite a lot what recipe I use. I'm going to make a basic white loaf that you don't have to do anything else with. It can either be a white loaf or rolls, but I have got some Stilton and pecan, and I've been promising Simon for ages that I'm going to make Stilton and pecan bread, so that's what I'm going to add in some flavours today, but we don't need those till later. So my basic bread recipe starts with 500 grams of strong bread flour. I do use a machine. You can use your hands, it will be exactly the same. You just need to make sure that you're kneading it properly for long enough, but I'll give you the timings in a little while. So I'll just pop the flour onto the mixer, and this is where it doesn't stick. Should be okay. Okay, so into the flour we're going to add some yeast and some salt. When I'm cooking a meal, a savoury recipe, a casserole or anything, I would normally use the best salt that you can for flavour, and we use Maldon salt in the restaurant. But for any bread making, I would use basically just cheap table salt because it'll disperse and easier through the flour. So we're going to add the salt, and we're going to add that. You add your salt to one side of the flour and your yeast to the other side. The salt and yeast are eventually obviously going to mix together, but at the start you don't want them together because the salt will kill the yeast. So just add the salt into that side, and that's 10 grams of salt for the 500 grams of flour, and we've also got 10 grams of yeast. This is dry yeast. It's what I always use. Now over the past few weeks I've struggled to get dry yeast because everyone's cleared the shelves of it. So I did actually order from my supplier some fresh yeast, which I've yet to use, but I've read up that you can freeze it, so it's currently in the freezer at the courtyard until I've run out of dry, and then I shall give it a go. But for this, I know my recipes work with dry, so that's 10 grams of dry yeast. So I'll just add that to the other side of the bowl. Then I always add a small amount, a drizzle, a sprinkle, 10 to 20 millilitres of sunflower or vegetable oil. I don't know why, I just find that the bread works really well with the addition of a little bit of oil. And pour in. Then you can start your mixer. So this is going to get a little bit noisy, I feel. So apologies in advance for that. I'm going to tell you before I do it that it's roughly 300 mils of water. I say that because it's different every time. It really depends. You need to pour it in slowly and let the flour come together as a dough, and stop when you've put enough water in. And the point where you've put enough water in is where the dough comes away easily from the edge of the bowl. So I'm going to put this on and hope it's not that noisy, and start. So I'm just slowly pouring in the water, pouring a little bit at a time, wait a bit, let the machine do its thing, or let your hands do the thing. So if you're in a bowl just using your hands, you just want to do what the machine's doing and kind of bring everything together with your hands. Starting to come together. It's looking a bit like crumbs at the moment, chunky crumbs. So the flour now. It's just been about, I don't know, a minute maybe. It's worth taking your time. Pour all the water in together and it's too much, you will just have a completely sloppy mess in your hands, and then you'll have to try and bring it back or dispose of it. So I've nearly used all the water now. We're close to that being a good dough. Just going to drop a tiny little bit in now because it has all come away from the edges. Okay, so I'm going to stop that now while that kneads, and what we want to do in the machine, I would say about 5 minutes. If it's with your hands you want about 8 to 10 minutes, so it's a good workout as well. Okay, so this is coming to the end of its 5 minutes now, so I'm going to switch it off and open the bowl. Okay, you will always get a little bit attached to the dough hook, but ultimately, I'll show you if I can get this thing out. Sorry if I can't, this is a new machine at home. There we go. So there you go, that's what you should have, a ball of dough that's come clean away from the edge of the bar by itself. You can now, what I'm going to do is leave that in there, cover it with cling film or a tea towel and leave it in a warm-ish place. I would suggest by a radiator or in a room that gets the sun. What you don't, I think the optimum temperature for proving, because you're going to leave this for about an hour now, so till it's doubled in size, and that again, timing, that's roughly an hour. If it hasn't doubled in that time, leave it a bit longer. If it hasn't shown any signs of growing at all within that time, I would knead it for a bit longer. So yeah, cover it. What you don't want to do is put this in an oven of any type, because another thing that will kill the yeast is if the temperature is too hot. We have a Raquel, my little oven at work, has a proving setting, and I'm pretty sure that runs at about 48 degrees, so that's the kind of temperature you're looking for. So yeah, I'm going to cover that over with a tea towel or cling film, whatever you have, and leave it for about an hour, and I'll see you then. Okay, so it's been about an hour and a half and my dough has risen to double its size. So the next stage is to, sorry, I can't see you at the moment, but I think it's more important that you see my board than me. The next stage is to knock it back, which means to knock the air out of it. So I floured the board, the surface. I'm just going to take the dough out of the bowl onto the surface, and we're going to knock it back and cover myself in flour. So just knock all the air that's gone into it out of it, and then it's at this stage that you want to add any flavours if you're going to add them. So I'll stretch it out as far as I can. I'm going to add pecans, which I've chopped up already, mostly. So just going to add all the flavours to the one section and then fold it in. I've also got the Stilton that I've crumbled and broken up a bit. So I'll put that in, and then you just want to keep folding it over to try and make sure that the filling, if you are using it, if not, you can miss this stage out, is kind of as far through the the loaf as you can. Just make sure it's all inside. Okay, so what I'm going to do with this one is make a loaf in a loaf tin. You've got a couple of other options. You can divide it, that'll probably make about 6 to 8 bread rolls if you divide it into equal pieces, or you can put that straight onto a lined baking tray. But what I'm going to do today is make a loaf in a loaf tin. So I'm just going to get some oil and brush it over the tin. So that the bread doesn't stick when it eventually gets cooked, and then just pop your loaf into the tin. Then that should grow. We're going to prove it again for another hour-ish, and that will grow to fill the tin and rise up a bit, and then we'll do the oven baking. So thanks for watching. In the background there is gnocchi that I've done as a virtual cooking class with my nephew this afternoon. So I'll try and post that up as well. But there's the bread. So I'll see you in a bit. So it's been a bit more than an hour. It's probably closer to 2 hours. We've been for our daily walk this afternoon. So I've waited till we've come back to show you, and this is what that bread looks like now. So ready for the oven. I've got the oven, we've got a fan oven, I've got it on 200, and what I've also done is in the bottom of the oven I've put a roasting tray with some water in, because you get a better crust or edge on the bread if you can create some kind of steam within the oven. My lovely Raquel at the Courtyard does that for me. I just put it on a bread setting, so I can't wait to get back and use her. But at the moment I have my own home oven, which I know probably is what you would be using as well. So yeah, create a bit of steam in the oven. About 200 on a fan, will be about 220 if it's not a fan. I got no idea on the gas, I'm sorry. So yeah, I'll just put that in probably 20 minutes. To check it, if you can get it out, you tap it on the bottom and it needs to sound hollow. So, but we'll see how we get on. See you later. So here we are, the finished bread. There are some places where the filling has all stayed together. So perhaps I just needed to move that about a bit more. I don't know what the technical term for that is. But it's a very lovely bread. It's got a very nice, can you hear the crust on it because of the steam that I put in there. And according to Simon, it is very delicious. So anyway, there's my bread. Hope you've enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.